Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar brought to you by Kenanga Investment Bank in collaboration with Welford International Berhad. Today, we are very excited to be doing this corporate presentation that is titled Live Chat with SNS Network Technology Berhad, one-stop ICT system and solutions provider. So today, we are very honored to be doing this corporate briefing with SNS Network Technology Berhad. Now, before we begin this corporate briefing, allow me to do a quick shout out, okay, for this Kenanga Humankind project. So in this Kenanga Humankind project, we want to urge all of you here, to pledge a meal at 20 ringgit to children in need. And for every meal that you pledge 20 ringgit for, Kenanga will match it meal for meal. So through this course, at least 2 persons will not have to go hungry. And it will also help to sustain employment opportunities for the disabled employees at Cafe Includes. So Cafe Includes will be the cafe that Kenanga support to provide the meals to the children in need. And it will also help to provide training and development to disabled employees at the cafe. All right. So for every 20 ringgit you pledge, Kenanga will match it meal for meal. All right. So you may scan the QR code here at the bottom right corner to be able to pledge a meal. All right. So if you want to do that, I probably leave you about 5 seconds for you to scan the QR code so it can take you to this project. Now, our goal is to raise 50,000 ringgit through this campaign. So do support us in this CSR project. Okay. Now, as usual, disclaimer, whatever we share in this session is only for educational purpose. So in no way that we give any recommendation for you to buy or sell any listed securities that we mentioned here. So if you decide to make any investment decisions, you're 100% responsible for all your investment risk. Now today, we will be hosting, and we are very honored to have invited the Managing Director of SNS Network Technology Berhad, Mr. Koh Yun Hong, to come to this session to discuss about SNS Network Technology Berhad's business, as well as financial highlights and the growth prospect. Now, together with us, we also have Mr. Tong, who is the Group Financial Controller for SNS. All right, so welcome to this session, Mr. Koh and Mr. Tong.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, without further ado, I will just hand over the session for you to share your screen to discuss about your key investment highlights and your future plans.
Thank you so much, Anshu. Okay, now without further delay, maybe let me share my screen first. All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. So thank you so much for joining today's sessions, which is organized by Kenanga as well as Wellworth. And so over here, I'm will straight away begin with our corporate presentations for today. Okay, it's a standard disclaimer that about our presentation today. So all the informations over here is for on the basis is correct at the material of time when we prepare it. So for your consumptions. All right, so my name is Koh Yong Ham. I'm the Managing Director of SNS Network, and SNS is co-founded by myself and my partner Kelvin in the year 1998. So let me share you on our story in this ICT industry. So actually along the journey until today, we are supported by a group of committed and dedicated and experienced key senior management team, which not just only included both of us, myself and Kelvin, but also our executive director, Tony, Miss Venus as the admin and operation directors. She's supporting our daily operation, and we have Miss Sufen, who is our development director. She's playing her prominent role in our e-commerce services as well as web development core functions. And of course, together with us today as well, we have Mr. Tong, who is our group financial controller. Let's have a glance at SNS. SNS is an ICT system and solution provider in Malaysia with 24 years of operating history. So we are one of the largest ICT product reseller in Malaysia with annual sales revenue over 1 billion ringgit. we are capable of providing end-to-end ICT products from either third-party brands or our house brand Joy. We also offer ICT services, solutions, device repair, as well as upgrade and the broadband services. And our customer range from general consumer to SME to government to education institutions such as school, colleges, university, and to large corporates or enterprise. Our product and services and solutions are offered to our customer via three main channels. And first, we have our physical store channel, which is mainly to support on the retail activity. Second, we have our online sales channel in which we are actually offering like this e-commerce as well on omni-channel shopping experience for the customer. Third, we have our commercial channel in which we have our dedicated sales specialist or account manager to serve the commercial customer needs as well as requirements. So for the past 24 years, we have built a very long-term and established partnership with many global brands of in ICT industry. These include those brands like Intel, Microsoft, Apple's, AMD, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Samsung, and etc. Now, in fact, we even won numerous awards over the years in this ICT industry. So let me share you further about our journey. So SNS actually started at Ipoh in 1998 as sole proprietorship with myself and Kelvin as the pioneer management team. In year 2000, we incorporate SNS Malaysia's Berhad. Then in 2004, we actually secure our first concession air agreement with Aeon. And this actually marked our starting point of expansion into the retail actually. We continue to earn many awards, not only within our industry, but also from others awards accreditation organizations. So this will include like SME Young Entrepreneur Awards that you can see here in 2008. So for example, and then ICT Adoption Award in 2009, and also we ranked number 2 in the Nationwide Enterprise 50 Awards 2010. And also 2010, that is the year we launched our first retail outlet brand specialty store, which is brand under the brand name of IT World to mainly promote on Apple products. And then after that, in 2012, we launched Brew as our retail multi-brand store. So move forward actually in 2014, what important is actually we introduced our own house brands, which is Joy. Is targeted to offer solutions for market that demand for affordable devices. And in 2017, we started to sell online via our in-house website, IT World. And then in 2021, our effort of e-commerce also got recognized when we won third placing in the Malaysia Top E-commerce Merchant Awards, which is given by Scientech. 2021 is actually our financial year 2022, in which we break our record by surpass the sales revenue more than 1 billion ringgit. This is our current group structure in which all the subsidiaries, we have 8 subsidiaries are all fully owned by SNS Network Technology Berhad. And then you can see here all the major shareholder is holding up to about 72.7. Our public spread is 25.5%. So let's continue with our business overview. Our business segmentation, our principal business activity are segmented into 2 parts. So the first is actually on the left column that you can see is the sales of ICT products, which consists of like hardware devices, related peripherals, as well as provision of ICT services and solutions. The second on the right that you can see is provision of device repair and also related service, as well as sales of broadband services. So let's have a look at the left column. So we carry the brands from all the third parties or our own house brands, which comprise of hardware. So when we say hardware, this is actually referring to PC, workstation or server, and then devices, related peripherals, as well as software. And in addition, we also offer ICT services as well as solutions. Now, either it is complementary or bundled together with our system or value added. So and we have our education solution with our smart classroom solution framework, the Joy Smart Classroom Solution Framework. We offer DaaS. I will elaborate a little bit more later on this, and also manage ICT services. So all these products, system, and services are all market via our existing channel of physical store, as well as online and commercial channel. Then our second principal activity includes operating of Apple authorized service center, which is you can see over here, and also offer broadband services which from telco like TM, Celcom, and etc. We also have our own DIA, stand for Dedicated Internet Access, which is brand under Cloud Access. So this is for customers that actually required service level agreement on internet subscriptions. So our customer segment for all these principal activity are businesses, government, education, as well as general consumers. So let me explain a little bit more on this new era of subscription IT-based services. So which is actually DaaS. DaaS, or it stands for Device as a Service, is a subscription-based services which is typically offered under a monthly subscriptions, whereby our group will be bundle ICT products together with services to the customer. So when we say hardware devices, for example, then this may include like PCs, notebooks, tablets, interactive smart boards, workstations, server, and a wide range of hardware accessories and peripherals. Support that we can provide together, it could be including like delivery, configuration, deployment, management, help desk, or even device lifecycle management. The services that can be included, it can be up to like cloud-based software like Microsoft or antivirus or licensing management. So our customer can choose to either directly subscribe with us or indirectly via third-party leasing, and it's usually pay on a monthly basis. And the contract period of DaaS can typically range up to 5 years. And at the end of the subscriptions periods, then it depends on the customer requirement. They can choose to renew the DaaS contract and they get a new hardware, or they can just end the contract, for example. And this is actually very important because it helps customers to keep up with the rapidly advancing technology. So we can have a look at some of our SNS major customer for last year. Take for example, there is FYE 2022. As you can see from the table, our major customer come from very diversified industry. First, we have Fan Technology, who is actually an overseas customer. Then we have second and third ranking, which is taken by Lazada and Shopee. So e-card services is actually Lazada, and these are contributed by the sales which obtained from our online store that is set up at their platform. Then we have Pembangunan Leasing Corporation's Berhad, which is actually fully owned by the Malaysian Development Bank. So they are actually offering financial services for our DaaS customer. Then on the fifth, we have Pejabat Setiausaha Negeri Johor, who is actually buying laptop as well as networking item from us. So the following table shows the major customer which is under our second segmentation of principal activity, which is provision of Apple device repair and related services as well as broadband sales. So on the top, because as far as telco is concerned, TM is the largest telco in Malaysia, and that's why you can see they rank number 1 over there, because we are offering the product like Unify to the consumer and as well as businesses. So the sales activity are being carried out via multiple channels, for example, kiosks, retail outlets, mobile vehicle loaners program, and even door-to-door via agent. And our second and third rank that we can see here is actually Brightstar and Asura. And both of them actually we are offering our device repair and support services to them especially on the Apple products. And our following is actually International Rescue Committee as well as Protect. They are actually our direct internet access services subscriber. So what is actually DIA or direct internet access? This is actually some people call it lease line. So if you notice the general broadband services that we subscribe, take for example Unify. So those broadband packages usually is being offered on a best effort basis. So when we say best effort, means to say if let's say you subscribe 100 meg, what they are trying to tell you is that on the best effort basis they will try to give you 100 meg, but it's not guaranteed. It's not being guaranteed that they will definitely be 100 meg. So but for general user is actually no problem, that is actually good. But for certain customer which is have very critical like server client environment, whereby downtime could be critical to them, they can't have the environment whereby they just operate under best effort situation. then a service level agreement on the internet access. Then on this kind of scenario, we will offer our DIS services to them. So for this case, for example, currently we are offering a minimum 99.5% of guaranteed internet uptime with dedicated fiber optic pair to the cloud access customer. So this is a service level agreement to them, and it can go up to like 95.7%. It depends on how critical is their business situations. So if any of you ever wonders how we create our impressive track record all this year, and let me unpacking some of our competitive strengths to you. So first, I think we offer very extensive range of ICT products as well as services. Take for example, as of 30th April 2022, we have offered more than 30,000 SKU from third-party vendors products. And these are all the very familiar brands names that you always heard about, for example, Apple, AMD, HP, Intel, Microsoft, and Samsung. And we also build our own brand, which is Joy. Currently, we have about 360 SKU. Now, however, we are not just about selling the boxes as it is. Because if our customer require, we will also provide complementary or value-added services or solution. Now, take for example, in education, we have our Joy Smart Classroom Solution Framework to help institutions in their education transformation. And we offer flexible technology adoptions via our DaaS model, as I shared just now. We also provide managed ICT services or maintenance contract for the customer who require them. Other than that, we are Apple authorized service provider. Currently, we operate 3 service centers, which is capable of providing repair and related services for Apple products, whether it's buying from us or not buying from us. Yeah, as long as carry Apple logo, then we have a service center to help us support the customer. And also, as shared previously, we provide various internet subscription services from different telcos such as TM, Celcom, and etc. And next is actually being started on a small city. Sorry. All right. Sorry, I think the line get disconnected a little bit. I'm sorry. Okay, so next we are going to talk about our establishment and track record history. Being started in a small place like Ipoh, and you know, Ipoh typically is not famous for technology. But despite these kind of challenges, I think we have marked our success in this world most dynamic industry for the past 24 years. And I think this experience is actually very important. It will enable us to be competitive as well as continuously to improve ourselves moving forwards. So over the years, we have established a wide market coverage as well as extensive channel nationwide, distribution channel nationwide. Take for example, as of the years April 2022, we have 56 brand specialty store, 7 multi-brand concept store, and 14 consignment counter inside Aeon departmental store. And it's actually other than the brick and mortar store, we're also selling our product online as well. We are currently managing more than 30 e-store, which is available on our own website and also on platforms such as Lazada, Shopee, Zalora, Picom, and etc. And furthermore, we're also offering our customer the options of buying online and pick up in store, or we call it BOPIS, to enable the omni-channel experience. SNS has established very long-term and solid business relationship with the brand principal, distributor, supplier, as well as OEM. So from all these global brands that you can see, we have built a very strong working relationship with them. Most of them more than 10 years, and some are actually more than 20 years. And we really thank them and appreciate their support all this year. So I think I should share a bit more about our own house brands, which is actually Joy. In 2014, I still remember Intel and Microsoft, both of them actually approached us simultaneously about the same time. They told us about a gap in the market product offering, and they say something is missing, and this something that is missing is actually about affordable devices. I still remember when we launched our first Joy 8-inch Windows-based tablet, which is only retailing at RM 499. It comes with original Microsoft Windows, and we actually achieved very encouraging result from customer, because affordable devices are in needs for many family, especially for education purposes. They use it as the first device for their children for education, and this actually motivates us to continue our journey. So to date, our Joy product range from desktop, laptop, content media server, tablets, interactive smartboard, mobile charging station, and the related peripherals as well as software and component as well. So we further enhanced our offering by introducing the Joy Smart Classroom Solution Framework in 2016. SNS is actively demonstrating and illustrating to different school, colleges, and university on how to brand technology into pedagogy, which makes the teaching and learning more interactive and more interesting at any time, anywhere. So although we brand it as Joy Smart Classroom Solution Framework, but this is a framework, it works well with all the brands. In fact, I mean, Joy, we put in Joy products, but at the same time, if the customer prefer to buy HP or any other brands, we are so happy to sell them any brands of the products that they may be interested in. All right. So from there, I will continue to move on to our business strategy as well as some of the prospect of our growth. So first, we will construct a regional hub located at this PJ to support our nationwide expansion. So this hub will be an 18-story building with a built-out area about 260,000 square feet. The regional hub will include an experience center for us to showcase the new and innovative ICT solutions, especially on those Internet of Things. Now, today we heard a lot of those technical big words like big data, you heard about AI, you heard about cloud and all these things. So sometimes it's not so easy for customer to imagine. Take for example, things like smart home, smart retail, smart education, smart signages. How does a smart shelving will look like? So we intend to actually demonstrate and to show all these different types of solutions. How is it actually in the real life working scenario? Now, of course, it also has storage facility, service center, live video area, training center, workshop, office facility. We will have a technical floor as well as data center in this building as well. So next, in fact, actually this is, we are looking at our largest of IPO proceeds to grow the DaaS business. Since year 2020 until 30th April 2022, SNS actually entered into 77 DaaS subscriptions with a total subscription value of about 235 million. And based on the IMR report, independent market research reports by Smith Standard, DaaS is showing a 4 years of CAGR growth of 38.6% in Malaysia. So we will be purchasing the products such as desktop, laptop, interactive smart boards, workstation, digital signage, printer, server, and so on to support the expansion of these services. All right, and we will continue our expansion of retail expansion as well as by setting up another 10 new retail stores, particularly in Klang Valley, Johor, and Penang. And also, we believe Joy have many growth opportunity. However, it may not be very well known to the public yet due to the insufficient marketing activity previously. So we are a local company. Joy is a Malaysian brand. So we know we don't have luxury budget like those big MNC companies spend on their AMP. But nevertheless, we will continue to invest more to enhance our brand as well as product awareness to various marketing activity. So these will include, on the social media engagement with the KOL and advertisement in the digital website, search engine, radio broadcast, and etc. So in a nutshell, there are very positive outlook for the ICT and services industry. Let me name a few factors that drive the demand for the new ICT product sales services here. So after the digital transformation is being accelerated during the pandemic time, you can see there is a wide usage of ICT product and services nowadays. And this actually created, with a higher adoption of technology into our life, it created also a repayment cycle of devices for the continuous technology advancement. And I think our government also put in a lot of effort to build out the digital economy. There's various initiatives, for example, the implementations of 5G, for example, and many digital transformation programs like to roll out those IR 4.0 to encourage all these things. So it is also a great effort done by the government part. And another one not to forget is actually online learning, hybrid learning. So all these are no longer something unusual actually. In fact, it's part of new norm. So incorporation of ICT products and into promoting the digital education in Malaysia has transformed the landscape in the education sector actually. So with all this, we should go to our financial highlights. So with that, I would like to invite our group financial controller, who is Mr. Tom. Yeah, Mr. Tom, over to you.
Yes, good evening to all ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring you through our financial highlights and our next slide. Okay. We have a strong year-on-year top line and earning growth, and our GP margin is from 6.6 to like 8.8. And for the first half of current year, we have achieved about 7.8, is within the range. Our revenue has grown from 594 to 1.1 billion in FY 2022, and now we have achieved 545 billion. In our PAT margin in the range of 1.2 to 3.2 for the past 4 years, and for current year we have achieved of 3.7. And our PAT is in the range of 7.8 million up to 35.9. And the first half we have achieved about 15 million. We have got a growing top line and GP margin. Our 4 years giga growth of 23.2%. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a shift in the consumer behavior, leading to a rise in work from home and virtual classes practice. Subsequent to the pandemic, the demand of the ICT product has continued to increase. The surge in revenue in FY 2021 and FY 2022 were attributable to the increase in revenue from the sales of the ICT product. The decrease in the GP margin for FY 2022 was due to the lower contribution from the commercial channel. Profit uptrend with sustainable PAT margin, 4 years giga growth of 58.0%. The surge in PAT in FY 2022 was due to a higher GP margin contribution from the online store channel. Okay, the next. Okay, we look at the our revenue segment. Our sales of ICT products, it consists about 98.9% of our total revenue. And our first half is consistent with the our last year figure. And our services is about 1.1%. That is also consistent with last year. And if you look at our geographical revenue, our total 545 million, 95.2% are from Malaysia. So our overseas is quite minimum in the sense. Okay. Okay, these are some of the key financial information as at 31st July on current year. This is the second half, up to second half of the year. Our shareholder equity is about 108 million. Total asset of 546.9 million. Cash and cash equivalent about 52.4. Our borrowing is 36.6 million. Net asset per share is 0.09. And our current ratio is 1.2 times. So these are our current market cap is 395.1 as at 14th of October. Up to now, our current market price is in the range of 32 to 23 cents, the lowest. These are our major shareholders. Okay. Next. On the utilization of the proceed, we intend to spend like 33.4 million for the capital expenditure, and majority we use 30.9 million on the DaaS subscription-based service, and 2.5 million set up a new retail store. And we intend to repay our bank borrowing of 20 million, and 1.5 million will be designated for marketing activity for Joy, is our own in-house brand, and 13.1 million is on working capital, and 4.7 million will be used for the listing expenses, and 18 million will be used to construct our regional hub. And this is our total the percentage you are looking at. Okay, so that is from my part. Then I pass back to our MD.
Thank you, Tom. So I think that ends all our presentations. I would like to maybe pass the session back to Sean Chu.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Koh. So if any questions, ask our speakers today, who is Mr. Koh and Mr. Tong, you may write them in the Q&A box and we will address them accordingly. Right, write them in the Q&A box, yeah, not the chat box. Now, the first question by Ui is that, what are your strengths and your weaknesses?
Okay, thank you so much, Ui, for the questions. Okay, I think our strength, let's talk about our strength. I think our strength is actually we have multi-channel and we operate on multi-brands. So the advantages of multi-brands is that we are not really tied down to which particular brands that we need to promote them, but rather most of the time we're actually looking at what is the customer needs and requirements, and we can position the product as suitable for them. And now we have multiple channels that help us a lot because we are doing services-oriented industry. And especially currently, we intend to grow more actually on the DaaS segment, for example. So DaaS, take for example, device as a service is actually talking about service element, and this is something that is always our strength. Take for example, you can see in the past few years, we also operate Apple Service Center. I think it's easier to sell. Quite a lot of people sell ICT products, but it's not so easy to support as well as to put it together, become a solution for the customer. So I think this will be our strength. And other than that, we also have our own brands of products, which is Joy. And Joy is actually an affordable products. So what we do over there is like this. On premium segment, take for example, premium segment, you may have those brands like Apple and Samsung, for example, on the premium market space. Then on the mid-range, you have all the, or mainstream, you have all the other big MNC brands like HP, Acer, Dell, Lenovo, and so on. But on affordable segments, basically you have very limited choice. I mean, as a consumer, there's not many choice. So what we do is actually we are able to target and position the product correctly, because technology adoption, it is a process, it is a journey. It's not just something that you buy one off and then after you're going to use it like for the rest of your life. It's not so much like that. So usually every few years, after you use the device, then you may buy another device for the continuous upgrade. That is usually the case. So what happened here is that we notice actually not only in Malaysia but across globally, every country also has similar challenge. There will be always people facing some budget limitation issue. Especially critical is actually in the education segment. In fact, this is extremely true even come to the pandemic time, where a lot of students are required to do online learning, for example, but they don't have the device. So at that time also it's a good opportunity for us to promote our own house brand. But not only just about affordable, but we are able to help the customer to pace the journey. So start with something basic, and later on they go for something more advanced and more advanced and more advanced. That is our intention. So if you want to ask what will be our weakness currently, I think maybe is number one, it could be some people say we are very focused on ICT hardware. For example, we are a very hardware guy, and because when you are very hardware, so the margin it may not be very great. Why is it so? Take for example, if you notice, on the hardware part, we don't really dictate the selling price, correct? Now, take for example, if you want to buy Apple, for example, how much is the Apple iPhone selling price is not determined by me, but it's actually they have a global pricing policy, right? They will fix how much is the price for the iPhone, for example, in US and in different regional and in Malaysia, how much is the price? And not only Apple, but almost all the brands like that. So they already have some like a pricing plan. Then from the pricing plan there, they will work backward. How much will be my margin, and then how much will be a distributor margin, for example, and so on. So all this ecosystem partner that is involved, so everybody the margin is more or less there. And almost every brand is doing that. So that maybe is a little bit of my current weakness, if you were to say it. And the only way to solve this is that if we want to earn higher margin, we can't just simply selling more expensive. Take for example, everyone may know this notebook, how much is the price, right? Because it's published in the brands.com, is in Lazada, is in Shopee. So I can't just simply increase the selling price to increase the margin. So how will I increase my margin, for example? Then the services element need to come in. So that will be the differentiations, because the product people can even buy online. In ICT industry is very unique industry, I would call it, because it's very crossing each other. Take for example, if let's say you want to buy other things, sometimes you are not able to buy directly from the manufacturers. But in IT, even let's say you want to buy iPhone, you can directly all the way buy directly from Apple, from their apple.com, correct? So and you can also buy from telco like Maxis and Celcom, and you can buy from big retailer like Singheng. You can buy from people like us, SNS, and you can buy from online marketplace. So that is the industry nature is a multi-channel thing. So and this maybe in a certain way it creates so-called the lower margin kind of scenario, and which I think this could be some of the weakness. And so our solution to improve this is I think we need to continue to enhance more offering, a more solution basis, whereby that will be able to bring our margin better. Yeah. So I hope that my answer is not too lengthy.
Yeah, I think it's very clear when you talk about your strength and your weaknesses. And I think since you cover about strength and talk about the challenges that's faced by the like the industry peers in terms of the margin, and each one of you is more or less the same. The question by Ui is that is there any other plan that where I can improve the net profit margin going forward? Like does the company set a target to hit like 5% net profit margin in the near future, or maybe 10%?
No, very good question. I like this question. I mean, you see, how you are going to, let's say, make more within our own company, we call it mix. So when we call it mix, means to say is like, for example, if you want to improve margin, we know very well, just take for example, because iPhone just launched, take for example, so iPhone 14 just launched. So everybody know what is the selling price. Take for example, this is 7299, for example. I can't mark out 7299. Correct. That is the official price set by Apple. If you sell more expensive, no one is going to buy from you. And we are, by the way, we're also not allowed to do that. And doing that is very unfair to customer, right? So now, how are you going to improve the margins? Then you need to come in the mixed strategy. Mixed strategy means to say, for example, maybe you can encourage customer to take out care pack, service pack, extended warranty, for example. Then with that bundle, you can actually make more money. Or for example, maybe you can bundle with some accessory. You may obviously maybe customer may need a charger or adapter, something like that. And some of the customer, they may need more than one charging cable, because some they put it in the office, some they put it at the house, one they put it in the car, for example. So we need to have I mean, on the retail space, very simple, is talking about how we are going to match, mix and match different types of products together. So come to the commercial part, then it will be talking about what are the services that you can go into it. So services here we can referring to like after sales service. So some of the customer they will require like service plan. Some of the customer they will need different types of ICT support. Take for example, we have customer they want on-site service and support, a schedule on-site service and support. For example, some customer maybe every 3 months or every 1 month. It depends on the situations. It depends on how critical they are. In different usage scenario, customer have different type of requirements. So when we can actually offer more, then it helps to improve the margin. And of course, the entire thing is that what we are doing actually most of the time, a lot of our sales involve many service element into it. Yeah. So that is one of the way we are going to improve it. And secondly, if we want to improve product margin, let's say from 5%, let's say jump to 10%, for example, then that will involve identification of products, which is actually bring the 10%. So when we able to offer a unique things like this, then we will be able to grow further. So that's why I think it boils back to our strengths just now that I mentioned. Our strength and our background is that we are multi-channel, we have multi-brand. So when this thing put together, it will be able to slowly, actually gradually improve our margin. And if you notice from the financial highlights just now, if I'm not mistaken, so the profit margin actually does get improved slowly over the years. So of course, thank you so much. I would definitely hope that our margin will be increase accordingly, to be higher. So take for example the PAT margin that we show here, previously it's 1.5, 1.2, then increases 3.2 and 3.2 and now it's 3 something. So I think we are trending quite healthily. We will continue to work hard to ensure we will be able to continue to improve our margin accordingly.
Yeah, I noticed that sometimes when we buy the ICT products, for example laptops or other ICT products, we often get a lot of free gift, right? Like the bag, the mouse, all these things. Are these coming from your own pocket?
Some is yes, some is no. Some is actually directly from the brands itself. So sometimes customer feel I don't know. I mean, indirectly, sometimes I used to compare, like, when you go for F&B like KFC or McDonald's, if you just take a fried chicken, it looks like a bit not so complete lah. If you just take a burger, it looks like a little bit not so complete. So the same thing goes to like when you buy a notebook. So sometimes if you just get a notebook, it's not wrong. You buy a notebook, you get a notebook. But a lot of customers will hope to have some related peripherals. Take for example, just like I mentioned about notebook bags. Sometimes there is a mouse, sometimes even there is different types of things. So sometimes what we do, we collaborate with brands. Some of the item is actually from brand itself, and some of the item could be actually from us, because on seasonal basis, sometimes we will need to do some promotions. You get what I mean, especially on the retail side. Like take for example, a lot of customers actually start to waiting for the 11/11 to come, which is just another maybe 2 weeks time. Also what will be the good promotions that we are going to put together. By itself, if let's say just by ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do very great promotion because we only have single digit margin, not too many room for us to play around. But when we put together various different ecosystem partner, our supplier, our distributor, our brand principals, then we will be able to offer more interesting items. Then our sales in a little bit. Then that is how usually the market player in our industry they will be doing. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mr. Koh. The next question is by Eddie. Who are your main competitors in the industry, and what is your company's market share in the industry compared with your peers?
Oh, okay. Because we operate on multi-channel, different channel will have different competitors. So for example, let's say in retail, then it will depends on what is the product that I'm selling. Like for example, let's say I'm selling Apple. I think the competitors could be like others, Apple reseller, just like Machine in Klang Valley is quite big, quite popular. They have a lot of outlet coverage, but they are mainly on retail. And so on retail base, then sometimes we may even be competing with others retailer as well. But I think in the segmentations sharing just now, you can see one of our largest is actually in the commercial space. Let me check whether I have that slide. Yeah, so our largest channel, I think it's not here. Our largest channel is actually commercial. So for the past few years, commercial is actually contributing more than 75% of our total group revenue. So let's say on commercial is concerns Machine Niaga, one of the public listed company in main board, I think they are actually our competitors.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Koh. Does the company have a dividend policy?
For the time being, we don't have a fixed dividend policy. Yeah.
All right. Now we know that since the pandemic, we have a shortage in terms of a semiconductor chip. So does it affect your business?
Oh, yes. I mean, the thing is getting normal, slowly improving, but it's not fully resumed back to normal yet. So what happened in the past 2 years, for example, although we have very, stronger growth in terms of sales, but at the same time, the supply actually is something critical and challenging to us at that time. So what we do is actually, actually before pandemic time, we always operate in this manner, is that we work on forecasting method. So we usually like forecast to our supplier or our distributor or our brand's owner. We told them, what will be our targeted or our forecasted sales will be for the next quarter, for example. So then both of them, they will be accumulating all this data, and then they will feedback to a regional team, and regional team will feedback to global, and eventually they will work with the factory side to produce accordingly. So that is roughly how we work in the industry before pandemic time. So during pandemic time, when there's a semiconductor issue, so we actually extend our forecast to 6 month kind of planning. So we need to plan longer. And I think media also doing a good job, because all this situation is not only specific to SNS. In fact, it's a global phenomenon. It's a global issue. So customer actually aware of it. So when we talk to customer, when we explain to customer, okay, this is the product that we have ready stock on hand. These are the stock that you may need to wait 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months, and so on. So the customer will then be able to decide better, are they going to wait, or maybe what will be the other alternative models, or maybe even brands that if they need the product urgently, for example. So this is usually the solution to address this is actually advanced planning, and also close collaboration, working relationship with your supply chain, and it will minimize the impact. And of course, the last is actually we need to give a very good expectation to the customer on what kind of products that they want, and what will be the lead time, what are the things that are immediately available. And so we have been managing and practicing this for the past 2 years, and it does help a lot. And I think this is also one factor that contributes to our growth during the past 2 years. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Koh. Following up on the competitor question, so Lawrence would like to ask, is VS Tech your main competitor?
VS Tech? No. In fact, VS Tech is actually our supplier. They are one of our major supplier. So maybe let me share a little bit on the ICT industry ecosystem. How does it look like, the supply chain? Now, take for example, let's say we have a university, ABC University, for example. Maybe he want to purchase, take for example, maybe 50 unit of HP desktop PC. Now, usually HP don't sell directly to the ABC University. But what HP does is that actually HP appoint distributor for each country, a few distributor for every country. So in Malaysia, take for example, VS Tech is one of the distributor of HP. So what HP does is that he will ship the 50 unit of 50 boxes of this desktop PC to VS Tech. VS Tech will ship this 50 unit of boxes to SNS. SNS will take the 50 boxes of this HP desktop PC, go to the ABC University, unpack it, set up, deploy, integrate, and then make it up and running for the customer. So that is the differences. I would say VSI is more towards wholesaling. In fact, they are one of the largest distributor in Malaysia, which they distribute. I mean, in Malay, maybe we call it pemborong, and also they distribute the products, something like that. They don't really involve so much in terms of configurations or setting up of the products. So their customer is more like towards people like us, and our customer is more towards the end customer. Yeah.
All right, thank
that
you.
is the
Now,
difference in between ourselves and VSX. So VSX is our supplier, not competitors.
all right, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Just now you mentioned about education, right? So the follow-up question is which education in the government that they offer to SNS? Can you tell us about your education contract?
Okay, so when we talk about education, the scope is actually very huge. So education, it consists of many different how to say institutions. So some of them, for example, is like we have even from the kindergartens to primary school, secondary school. So and then we also have project with some of the local governments, and I think some of these education thing, it could be education related, but it may not be directly with MOE. So I think, for example, one of the projects that we got it before we are listed actually in the month of August, I'll be listed in September. So one of the projects that we got it is actually the MCMC Pelanti Siswa project. So that project is actually MCMC is distributing, is providing tablets to the MOHE student, which is actually, I mean, colleges or university students. So it's education related, but it's not directly MOE. So this is one of the example of government contract that we deal with directly. So what we do is actually we are helping the government to deploy and to deliver all the tablets to the approved students who apply the Pelanti Siswa devices with the government, and the device for this project is actually Samsung tablets. Yeah.
Okay. How dependent are you with VS Tech? So that's the follow-up question by Buntat.
I think although they are our major supplier, it's not very dependent, because in IT industry, most of the brand does not practice exclusivity or monopoly. It doesn't happen in IT industry. So all the brands, take for example, whichever brands are, usually they will have 2 to 3 distributors. So means to say then people have choice. So like I say, take for example HP just now, other than VSTech, we also have another 2 or 3 distributor for us to choose and work with. So this is the scenario, because I think ICT industry, we don't have monopoly. I don't think there is any case. So usually they don't practice that, because most of this company is multi-billion US dollar company. So usually what they do is they will have a few distributors, so that to curb the situation of dependency. And secondly is that sometimes different distributor, they may have slightly different strength in terms of the pro sales as well as pre-sales support. So that also is important, because after all, I think ICT is a services industry. So it's not just by selling the product and it is then is done, but many customers, they have different types of usage scenario. So that's why people like us need to play an important role. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Chia Yi saw that the percentage of sales from broadband is about 1.1%. So is there any future plan or solution to raise the margin or revenue from this segment?
Yes. Yeah, by comparison, of course, it is lower. Although I mean there is an absolute figure growth, but because the hardware growth was more tremendous, more great. So I mean by comparison, then the percentage looks like only 1.1%. Now we definitely in the interest to increase this because these are services related and it gives us very much better margin. So moving forward, of course, one thing is about the extension of coverage, and second part is actually the various programs that we have on the broadband portions. For example, on the TM part, we actually increase and we are participating in the TM Rovers program. So that is some initiative other than the retail, because last time when you try to sell TM, take TM for example, when you try to sell TM products like Unify, usually you actually offer in the premises, like for example you are in a mall or something like that, you promote, you set up booth or kiosk. So during pandemic time, because of the retail sometimes MCO cannot operate and things like that, then we go on the Rovers program. Rovers program will mean to say you actually you are using a vehicle, and then you are able to actually promote in various way, and this actually does like increase the broadband penetration. I mean, because right now after the pandemic time, there is suddenly a lot of digital user. Many people actually are using various type of device for various reasons, because of whether it's online learning or hybrid working and etc. And the dependency in terms of getting a good connection is always there and is never enough. So we believe that this part will continue to grow, and I think government roll out the Jendela program, 5G and all these things. It will create another level of spark out. So ultimately, they will still require someone to at the front line to go and promote all these things. And with our existing broadband agents, the infra that we have, I think we will be able to help to quickly go to the market. We have about 400 plus of active broadband agents, and I think these will help us to continue to promote these broadband products, so that hopefully we will be able to increase the segmentation of these to even higher. And actually this segmentation also involve Apple device repair and support as well. We are going to roll out some of the programs like on-site service and support as well, because we start to have some of the customer, because like if let's say handphone or tablets you can bring to service center, but if let's say iMac, the machine could be quite bulky, so some of the customer may require us to go on site. So we are currently not really providing on-site support, unless for some of the customer which actually sign up some maintenance contract with us. But we will plan to actually offer the service to some of these customers as well. Yep.
All right. Now, Tali would like to ask, would you have any plans to go into other Asian countries such as Indonesia, Philippines?
Actually, there is a lot of inquiry from, there is inquiry on this. So for the time being, because we are not just purely selling boxes, so usually we need to work with some local player, so that they will be able to cover on the service portion. So I think expansion into regional, it will be something that very great to explore. But we also need to make sure we don't just go there for the sake of open our branch, but I need to make sure the service infrastructure, how our sales team, how our service team will be able to go there. So or otherwise, I think it may be difficult if I just go there to sell products, because ICT products basically is almost similar. Most of the brand models and price could be similar. So if you go over to Indonesia, what is your selling point? So then what will be our selling point? Why we have some of the overseas sales like previously, it's actually all about we are working with some local partner, so they help us to cover the service, and then we support them with the technology solutions. And I think it will be something that actually in the pipeline of planning, but I don't think it's an immediate things lah. it won't be immediately suddenly we expand to a regional, but it will be something actually in our pipeline. And I think maybe we will announce more when the times come. Yeah.
All right. Faisal Hashim would like to ask, is it possible for you to purchase directly from the supplier of well-known brands rather than to be a reseller of their products?
Okay, that's a very good question. In fact, we are. So in high IT is very weird sometimes. Take for example like Dell, HP, some of these brands. So some models, some SKU, sometimes we are buying directly from them. Sometimes we are buying from a distributor. So it just sounds like, for example, including Samsung, like for example. So sometimes we are buying directly from them, sometimes we are via a distributor. So it depends on different kind of usage scenario. So it's not so much of whether we buy from them or we buy from distributor, but the scenario actually sometimes got to do with the brand, their strategy. So certain model they actually more towards like this is for us to go direct. Certain model actually is maybe they go through the distributor, for example. So then we will be able to have, in a way, I think this is the flexibility. So sometimes we will be able to go direct. Sometimes we are not going direct, but we are going to the authorized distributors. For example, VS Tech. Yeah.
All right. Now, we certainly see the top line spike over the last 2 years due to the pandemic because of the increased adoption of technology. But now, since it's already post-pandemic period, and I think just now you briefly mentioned that the demand is still here. So the question by WK is that how long do you think that this top line increment is to be sustainable?
Wow, this is a very good question. Thumbs up. In fact, ICT industry is slightly different. In fact, previously we also have worried, like this ourselves. We saw the sales growth. Of course, we are happy, but the next question come in whether this is sustainable or not. This kind of question we ask ourselves. This kind of question we also ask to many of our brand principal, our industry leader, people like Intel, Microsoft, and so on. What is the view they look at this? So to precisely answer this question, we need to look at what is the market landscape and how does it evolve. So last 2 years, the sales come from where? I think, for example, one of the greatest contribution, the growth is actually coming more on the consumer-related devices. When we say consumer-related devices, we mean to say a lot of user they buy item like PCs, notebooks, or phone, right? So because they need to work from home, learn from home, or play from home, for example. So those are the products that actually very hot selling for the past 2 years, take for example. So now after pandemic time, so that is why I think this year you may see a lot of news, and even globally, some of the big MNC companies announced they want to cut down the job and so on. Because why? The consumer segment, consumer product segment, the sales actually slow down because people just buy last 2 years, or maybe they just buy last year. So they can't be like buying every year. Not everyone is buying every year. This is a real fact. So certain people will maybe buy after 3 years, for example. So, but why, if you look at our revenue for the first half, Q1, Q2 usually for us is quite slow, and we already marched about 545 million. So it's about more or less about 50% of what we achieved last year. Our stronger quarter usually is Q3 and Q4. So what is going to happen? Why you can basically see the momentum is there, and this is because when the economy opened out after the pandemic, the economy opened out. This is actually a good news for us. It helped us in the sustainability. Why? Because when the business activity opened out, so a lot of businesses start to operate, and then they start to make income. And right now, a lot of their workers, a lot of their customers are actually very more tech savvy. They are become digital user. So the businesses will need to improve or upgrade or purchase new ICT equipment for themselves. Just take for example, like previously maybe people are not selling online. Now they sell online. So when they sell online, when they go back to the business, they may realize that their PC is slow, they are unable to do some of the photography or video editing or maybe photo editing, then they need to buy a new PC, for example. So this year, the growth actually contribute more significant. We will foresee the commercial sales will grow even higher. I talk about education a lot. Let's talk about education. Now, last 2 years, maybe a lot of student, teacher buy device. So this year, what happened? When students go back to the school, so the school basically is not upgrading for the past 2 years because of pandemic issue, because education is one of the sector being impacted. So many students actually learn from home, work from, the teacher is working from home, for example, teaching from home. But this year, when they go back to the school, they realize that some of the school computer and PC and things like that are slow. And we have university and colleges actually, we got a few projects actually on setting out hybrid classroom. So hybrid classroom means to say, sometimes student is inside the classroom, some of the student may not be in the classroom, but both of them, they can participate in the classroom activity simultaneously. So when all this kind happen, then actually it create a different demand. And you have to also remember, like a lot of commercial, actually last 2 years, they cut down on their spending, not only on IT, but actually on all the spending, whatever spending they try to cut down because of MCO, because of uncertainty, all these things. Now, when business activity start to cry out, they start to spend. So one of the things that they are spending actually on IT. So I would say, how to sustain in terms of the sales growth, you cannot be always selling the same products, right? So then it boils back to our strength. So every year, how we manage our growth is that different year, there may be different type of demands. Now, when you start to sell a lot of devices, for example, what will be the next product that will be growing in demand? Take, for example, it could be server. It could be things like data center, right? Because when you have a lot of devices, and most of these, you need to connect to internet, right? And that is why the government also have urged to quickly roll out the 5G thing, because when your internet speed is too slow, you have too many devices connected, then the user experience is poor. At the same time, a lot of things you may not be able to do it online. So what eventually is that all this is a chain, is a drive factor, not just from SNS ourselves. If I were to push it myself, it's very difficult. But the entire stakeholders, which not only including myself, including industry leader, people like Intel, Microsoft, and so on, and also a related industry like telco, they are rolling out a more faster connection. When you have more faster connection, you have bigger application you can do online. And later on, I think very soon we will be selling a lot of 5G capable or 5G compatible devices. Today, there may not be so much of, for example, notebooks, which is actually come with SIM card, for example, not very common. And that's why every time you have notebook, usually you need to look for Wi-Fi, for example. But in the future, actually, a lot of notebooks, maybe they already come with a SIM card slot. You can even use eSIM and so on, and it is 5G connections, and you can actually use 5G connection, or you can actually look for Wi-Fi, for example. So all this will translate into a continuous growth opportunity for us. So I think particularly I would like to share education is because I think the hybrid classroom and these smart classroom, all these things, there will be a lot of potential actually for us as well. And education is always a cycle. There is always new student coming in, old student leaving, and all these things. So it's actually important, and that's why we are continuing going to focus on that area as well.
All right. Now we know that the interest rate is being hiked all around the world, and of course in Malaysia, our MPC is also raising the rate. Now, for every 25 basis point hike in Malaysia, how will that affect the company's bottom line?
Well, I mean, the very direct impact, it will be, I mean, the rising of operation costs will get higher and so on. And I think the only way we are going to mitigate all these things is actually to continue to focus on what we are good at. For example, how we are going to provide more and better services. Then it will help to increase our profit margin. Then from there, I think we will be only able to, so-called mitigate, the interest rate increase. And overall, I think this problem is again not something that only SNS facing this problem alone, but I think this is a problem that everybody faces. So sometimes it's good that it is a problem that everybody faces. Then it's basically something a common phenomenon, then everybody can manage it together. So our strategy is actually, of course, cost cutting and things like that is always in the pipeline, and some of our IPO proceeds, take for example, share by our group financial controller just now, is actually used to repay some of the bank borrowings. So I think with that we can actually reduce a little bit of impact in terms of interest increase, take for example. Yeah.
All right. Now, going forward, are you going to depend more on the projects from the government? Like, what is your 5-year plan for the country, for the company?
I think what is unique on SNS is you can see our customer segment from very diversified different type of industry. We wouldn't be saying we won't focus government or we are going to purely focus on government. So to us, government is one of the customer segments. So government have different needs and requirements. We will definitely continue to play our role to support what is the needs and requirements of the government segmentations. You know, what are the things that they require. And I think lately we can see that the government also, you know, very actually all this while is not lately. Actually, all this while we can see government come out all various type of initiative to keep on talking about digital transformation. And right now it's actually, I think the situation had go beyond digital transformation, because it's not only digital transformation, because digital transformation is already being accelerated during the pandemic time. So now the situation is more critical into the situation whereby you will suddenly have so many people are digitally transformed. What is the next thing you're going to do? So I think as an industry player, we have been always actively playing our role on this part, whereby we do a lot of technology update and sharing together with our principals on various type of different seminars to showcase different kind of solutions that is available, you know, and then our customer, actually not only from government or from corporate segments, they all can join, and then that is how you will be able to continue to bring to the customer what is the next technology updates that they are going to prepare for themselves. And I think all these things is actually important. And so to me, our government is actually one of the important drive factor as well. You know, especially on those related things. You see, take for example, sometimes like when government announce, okay, now you buy a computer, you can get double tax deduction, for example. So that is going to also help us in a way. So sometimes it's not just by supplying how much the government itself, but sometimes it's a government initiative. It's going to build out the industry as a whole. And I think all these initiatives is something that is actually very welcoming, and we will continue to play our role to bridge all the different type of solution and technology that we are going to bring into the customer. Because we know one of the important thing on the ICT segment is that we are not just purely selling the product like a box. Like a box means that I just sell you the box, That could happen actually in the retail or maybe in the e-commerce space. You buy and then I deliver you a box. But apart from that, what is more important is that what are you going to do with the product out of the box? When you take out it from the box, what is the things that is needed? And we believe our commitment and our strength is actually on the out of box. What are the things we are going to do? How we are going to help you to unbox it? Yeah, for example. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, Lawrence would like to ask how many percentage of your revenue is from recurring business?
If this question is asking about how much is the DaaS contribution to our revenue segments, I'm sorry, I think I don't have the breakdown in our quarter reports, but what I can remember is that actually the total subscriptions contract that we have and the contract value I mean up to 30th April 2022, we have secured about 77. This is like we have secured about 77 DaaS subscription with a total value of 235 million. And do take note that the DaaS is being offered in two modes here, two models. So one is direct subscription model, and another one is third-party leasing methods. So when we say third-party leasing method, that means the customer is actually getting the financing solutions from bank or some other leasing company. So that is why you see one of our major customer actually in last year was actually Pembangunan Leasing Corporation's Berhad. This is the subsidiary of Malaysia Development Bank. So they are offer the financial services. So even though we talk about DaaS, but we are not really become competitors of banking industry, banking institution. We are not competing with the financial institution. We don't have to. In fact, they are one of the important ecosystem partner. They are one of the stakeholder in helping this DaaS. So the customer have very free choice whether they want to subscribe directly with SNS, or they want to go through their existing bankers, for example, Maybank, SME Bank, or whichever bank Islam, for example. So they will have very flexible adoption process. So what we intend to do eventually is still on the ICT solution as well as support. Yeah, so I'm very sorry, Lawrence, to you just now that I don't really have a breakdown of revenue percentage, but the total that we have is 77 and 235 million up to 30th April 2022.
All right, thank you so much for the clarification. Now let's do one final question, Mr. Koh. Now, since the pandemic, a lot of consumers have shifted to online shopping. So what is your company's strategy in, say, in the retail or the virtual space? And how long does it take for a retail outlet to break even?
Okay, I think actually the consumer buying behavior change. So right now, actually, I think what is more important is not about online or retail, but it's about both of them together. We call it omni-channel. So some people call it online to offline, O to O, and so on. But basically, it's like sometimes customer buying online, sometimes customer buying at the retail, sometimes customer buying online go to retail pickup, sometimes customer go to retail but they are unable to buy it because the stock is not there. Then they can actually place an order online at the shop and then later on get it shipped to their house. So this will be the new element, or so called the new retail and experience that the customer actually wanting. We notice actually a lot of customer nowadays actually using our e-commerce platform as a reservation platform, for example. So for example, maybe they want that products, they buy online, they order, they pay which are the model that they want, and later on they go to the outlet to pick up. So they don't want to go to the retail, and end of the day the model is not there or the color that they want is not there. Then it's like, you know, they need to search or they need to find another place. So usually nowadays a lot of customers they tends to do this way, and we will get the products ready, and then when the customer come and their item is prepared. So why customer need to go to retail, for example? So retail cannot be just a place whereby you just display the product and you put a price tag there. That is not good enough, because eventually customer, why they go to retail, maybe because they want your help to help them to sell the products, you know, for example, or maybe to get more information which they can't get it from the online or from the e-commerce website. So I think slowly these two will be converging together. It will be combining together, become omni-channel. So it's no longer just purely online or just I think the very similar phenomenon also happened to other industry. Take for example, let's say KFC. You can dine in, you can take away, you can order from KFC apps, you can buy it from the Grab, you can actually self pickup or delivery via Foodpanda and so on. So it becomes very cross multiple platform. So to us, what happened in the pandemic, of course, the e-commerce sales growth a lot. For example, last year e-commerce is contributing about 10% of our, almost 10% of our group revenue, which is about 121 million. So I think this year, you know, it will continue to be able to maintain this kind of growth. There is some slowdown because of what I shared just now, the consumer products a little bit slowed down. So the consumer product is basically the product that you sell in the retail as well as the consumer segment. But it is actually much more, the growth is still much more higher as compared to the year before the pandemic time, for example, 2019. So we can obviously see over here that the consumer buying behavior change, and we will definitely need to support on this area. So our strategy is to make both available at the same time. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Cole, for coming to our sessions to talk about the corporate briefing of SNS Network Technology Berhad. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me share with you about our next webinar, next country webinar that is titled Back to the Future, 1970s Stagflation in 2023. Wow, the title itself looks very daunting. So want to know more about our speaker's economic forecast? So join us on the 10th of November, which is a Thursday, 8:30 to 9:45 p.m. As we invite a renowned Singaporean speaker, Mr. Derek Tan, to talk about his forecast for 2023. So I've just given you the registration link in our chat box. All right. So where you can register for this economic outlook session, where he will take us back to 1970s and examine what happened in that year and how will this possibly, reflect in 2023, and what should investors look for in terms of opportunities, and how should we guide ourselves in terms of to manage our investment risk. So if you haven't had a Kenanga share trading account, you may fill up this online account opening form to open an online account. All right. So I'll also give you the link, which is www.dco.kenanga.com/create-account/open-account-overview/EB. So you may click this. For those of you who haven't had a Kenanga share trading account, you may click this link to open a Can Trade account. All right. So this is an online account opening form. Now, for those of you who haven't joined Kenanga Trade to Win Telegram channel, you may click the link, which I've just given you to join the Kenanga Trade to Win channel for you to get trading ideas on how to trade the market. All right. And last but not least, after doing this webinar, we will randomly pick some attendees to send you the survey form, and we will definitely appreciate you to give us your feedback about how you think about the session, what kind of content you like to hear, and how can we make it better. So if we email you the survey form, we will appreciate your help to help us to fill out the survey. It will take just a few minutes for you to give us a feedback. All right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Koh Yun Hong and so Mr. Tong, who are respectively the Managing Director of SNS Technology and also the Group Financial Controller of SNS Technology, to share with us about the company business, the financial highlights, as well as the growth strategies going forward. So today we have learned a great deal about SNS. So yeah, thank you so much, both gentlemen, for coming to our session.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for inviting us. Thank you, Kenanga. Thank you, Sanshu.
All right, bye everybody. See you in our next Can Trade webinar.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, good night.